Okay, here we go with my demonstration in 4K of this Travis mobile translation device that I picked up in Vietnam. I paid in Saigon, paid 6 million Vietnamese dong for it. 6 million is 6 times £34. I think that's about 250 quid. Had a real hard time finding anyone that supplied them in Vietnam, and it's taken me some time to get to grips with it. Overall, I like the device. I'll give my opinion at the end. It does have some flaws. But for learning Vietnamese and getting about, it is pretty good. Does what it says on the tin, unless the network is slow, in which case it's an expensive paperweight. So just to go into the menu options here, so essentially it's got a load of languages that work online and a load of languages that work offline. It's the same as the iFly Tech. There's a lot stored on the device and a lot there. If I go into network and Wi-Fi, currently it's on my it's scanning the Wi-Fi networks. It's currently on my home Wi-Fi network, and I've got pretty damn solid gigabit internet, and that's my 100 meg network there. Mobile data and data roaming are enabled. You'll notice that on the side of the device that there is a little SIM card slot, which you use one of these, a sort of standard key here things. Just pop the SIM card out. Okay. There we go. Let's put it back in again. It's not actually in use at the moment. Now, the key point is for Vietnamese only appears when it has network connectivity. It is not stored in the device. So if I switch off Wi-Fi, that will all the Vietnamese options. Actually, as a language, it will cease. It will disappear from the menu. So let's actually try that. We can do. Let's do network, Wi-Fi, and we can switch the Wi-Fi off. See? Okay, so switch the Wi-Fi off, and then you notice the whole load of languages basically disappear from the menu selection. So if I go here, go to Catalan. Now, curiously, there's a little bug there that it still shows it as being Vietnamese there, so you don't know that anything's actually happened, which is extremely annoying. So Turkish will work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, two, three, four, five. Oh, that's because I've not turned the network back on. Okay, let's scan the network and attach back to the network. Yeah, so it's back on the network now. Then if we go back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You'll notice it appearing on the screen there. The screen is very small.
Ekran çok küçük.
Okay, so let's change that back to Vietnamese. Okay, and here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So touch that to repeat. I have to see
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
you have to have very small fingers to use this device. And as I got into it, I realised there was a history thing here, and this is the only
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
the volume control. The volume tends to turn itself up and down on its own. Now, one of my concerns with this device is the volume of the thing. So here we go. Now, straight away, those Vietnamese learners of you that will know that there's a difference in dialects between the north and the south. The northern dialect is considered to be the gold standard. All the TV news presenters will speak in a northern dialect, and there can be at times quite significant differences between the north and the south. A bit like in the UK, where the most desirable accent to have would be what I would call a Southern Counties accent. The same thing exists in Vietnam, but of course inverted. So let's try and see what it does. Mother.
Mẹ.
Mẹ. Okay, that's a Northern Hanoian accent. Father.
Bố.
Mother and father.
Mẹ và cha.
I love to eat pork.
Tôi thích ăn thịt lợn.
Yeah, so you can see you'd actually got it wrong in English there because I hesitated. I like eating pork.
Tôi thích ăn thịt lợn.
I like eating sausage.
Tôi thích ăn xúc xích.
I do not like eating sausage.
Tôi không thích ăn xúc xích.
Where is the local wet market?
Chợ ướt địa phương ở đâu?
Where can I find a barber shop?
Tôi có thể tìm một cửa hàng cắt tóc ở đâu?
Cat talk, northern accent there. 987654321.
987.654.321.
No particular way to adjust the speaking speed, unfortunately. For learners, that's just a little bit too quick for me. Excuse me.
Xin lỗi.
Where can I get a taxi?
Tôi có thể đón taxi ở đâu?
Can you make a restaurant recommendation?
Bạn có thể giới thiệu nhà hàng không?
Thank you for that restaurant recommendation.
Cảm ơn bạn đã giới thiệu nhà hàng.
It tasted really good.
Nó rất ngon.
Now is it? The mobile phone condition is like mother cooked rice.
Tình trạng điện thoại di động giống như cơm mẹ nấu.
Okay, so I could go on and give further demonstrations that would be more and more difficult. Vietnamese is a notoriously difficult language to translate. You'll probably see most Facebook translation just gets it completely wrong. Overall, my verdicts on the device, well, quite frankly, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, it doesn't. I noticed at this time making this video in January 2020 that there's another version coming out. Hopefully that will address the shortcomings of this device and perhaps not others. The number one shortcoming of this device, as far as Vietnamese is concerned, is that you need network connectivity. Now you've got two options here. You've got Wi-Fi or you've got a SIM card on the side. Now, for anyone that's lived in Vietnam for any length of time will know that the network slows down quite dramatically round about in the morning times, and certainly when everybody's out between 6 and 8 p.m. it slows down. So if you're in a busy area and the network speed drops, you're going to be cut off and in difficulty. As I said earlier on, without network connectivity, this thing is basically an expensive paperweight. Unlike the iFlyTac version 3, the iFlyTac version 3 has got a load of languages built in internally, so it doesn't need connectivity. But you certainly can't use this one on an airplane to talk to anybody because you'd be stuffed. Also, most hotspots, if there's any kind of intermediate login required, that's not going to work for you whatsoever. You're going to need a Wi-Fi network straight in on a login and a password that works. But any interstitial, please give your email address type stuff, that you get at the airport, whatever, is not going to work. So and this applies to living in Vietnam and generally, be very careful which network you choose. Maybe use an app to figure out, or just ask people which networks are okay according to the area that you're in. So that's shortcoming number one, which I'm not sure is going to be resolved by any future versions. The next set of shortcomings, as far as I'm concerned, is really just the performance in a noisy street environment. As you know, here in Vietnam, the roads are pretty noisy, and I'm just not satisfied with this device. I'm just not satisfied with the performance of the device. I already have a soft Scottish accent, which is difficult and challenging for a lot of translators. See the little microphone up there, the condenser microphone. You've essentially got to speak right up to this little microphone here, and then turn it round, and then wait for the voice to go to the network, be translated and sent back to the device. Okay, you've got
Tình trạng điện thoại di động giống như cơm mẹ nấu.
The microphone performance is not adequate.
Hiệu suất micro không đầy đủ.
The loudspeaker is not loud enough.
Loa không đủ to.
It's okay at home.
Ở nhà ồn.
So overall, I mean, look, these devices are progressing pretty damn rapidly. If you are doing business in China or conversing mainly with Chinese people, then absolutely iFlyTech is the model to go for, assuming you're not disturbed by the human rights abuse stories that you read on the internet. But their AI is just way ahead. But that's for Chinese. For Vietnam, there's not. There are fewer options. I should point out that it's my understanding at this time that the iFlyTech version 3 also requires online connectivity for Vietnamese, and so it wouldn't necessarily have that advantage. And then finally, just to finish off, I have tried to get around the problem using various little headsets. And you might think, well, why don't you just plug in a headset? Here's one here. It's got a single. This is just a cheapo one, and then you can plug that in there. Okay, and then you can see, well, use this as a microphone. So you push the button. I like eating bread. Yeah, it's completely shut down on me. It thinks. I like eating bread. Yeah, so this one's completely shut down. It's got confused here with this cheap sort of single pole microphone device. It obviously cannot cope with a really old-fashioned single pole one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it does tend to do this sometimes, just tend to sort of just like shut down for no reason whatsoever. One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, so it's got its knickers in a twist again. I don't know quite why it does this. It has done it to me an awful lot. Yeah, so we are on the network here. Mobile data is, well, let's turn that off. Maybe it's got confused and it's trying to use a SIM card. Okay, now the test to see whether you've got to change it to some language that's native, and then Vietnamese is still there, so it must have connectivity, as you see in the top section there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's extremely annoying the way you need to give it a little kick like that sometimes. I've had to reset it a few times. The third disadvantage I would see is that when it's in your pocket, it has a nasty habit of chattering away on its own. So if it's in your pocket or your back pocket or whatever, you'll hear it speaking from your backpack. So unfortunately, the only way to actually get around that is to actually turn it off. I actually found that it changed language on me. It changed system language. So I had to use Google Lens to actually, the system language changed to Chinese. So I actually had to use Google Lens to change it back. But I mean, overall, it's easy to be negative about these devices. You know, for language learning and in the classroom where you've got solid connectivity, I like it, okay? But it's got some shortcomings. I've thought about modifying it because I am an electronics engineer, and you'll probably see my next project, you'll see my me attempting to modify it by splitting out that little port there and having an amplified speaker. Okay, that's it for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Send me a little message there and I'll tell you where you can buy one here in Hanoi.